Diablo Immortal is Blizzard's mobile version of the Diablo franchise, and if you're like us and you've been curious about this game from the moment it was announced a few years ago, then you've come to the right place. Since its announcement back at BlizzCon 2018, the game has gone through a fairly lengthy development cycle for a mobile game, going into what is now its fourth year of development since the announcement. Fortunately, we have gathered enough info about the game, and in today's video, we'll look at everything that you need to know about the game. Diablo Immortal. First off, a little bit about Diablo Immortal. This is a mobile adaptation of the popular Diablo franchise from Blizzard. It takes place between the timelines of Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 in terms of the game's chronological setting. It's an isometric action RPG, which means it features an angled top-down view of your characters as you control them throughout the game. The game was officially launched for Android and iOS on June 2nd and is available in open beta on PC through Battle.net. You can download and install the game on all available platforms. In addition, the game will support cross-play between platforms, so you can play with friends who play on PC, as well as cross-progression, so you can move between mobile and PC and vice versa at your leisure. What's more, the game also supports cross-progression, meaning you can switch between platforms. Say you want to play on PC while at home most days, you can do that. Then you can pick up where you left off on mobile when you're away from your PC. You can even swap to mobile and play on the couch if you feel like it. Diablo Immortal is officially a multiplayer game, but not all aspects of the game are multiplayer. Some content in the game will let you play solo. As for other content, you will need to party up with other players to complete. These include raids and harder difficulty dungeons, and it makes complete sense to us. After all, it isn't always fun playing a game such as Diablo solo. It's also possible to team up with friends and play through normal story content if you wish. So most of the game can be multiplayer if you prefer it, which would make certain content a little easier to breeze through at a faster pace. That's not how everyone likes to play, but for those that don't mind it, it would make leveling quicker. The game. Diablo Immortal features 6 classes in total. This includes the Crusader, the Monk, the Demon Hunter, the Necromancer, the Wizard, and the Barbarian. All 6 classes are now in the game as of the closed beta, so players who were able to participate have been able to try them all out. Besides, Blizzard has confirmed its plans to add more classes to the game post-launch. While it wouldn't say anything about when new classes would be added or what they would be, we know more are coming. Additionally, the game's chief producer Caleb Arsenault stated in a Q&A before the closed beta started last year that some of the new classes coming to the game would be all new. And by all new, he means classes that the Diablo franchise has never seen before. He also noted that there would be more familiar classes. Out of all the classes Diablo has ever had across its 3 available games, there are a handful of classes that aren't in Diablo Immortal that could end up coming to the game later on. This includes the Amazon, the Druid, the Assassin, the Rogue, the Witch Doctor, the Warrior, the Bard, and the Paladin. It's likely we'll see at least 1 or 2 of these classes in Diablo Immortal, though which ones they will be is anyone's guess. The game's development team will have to think about which classes would fit best in a mobile ecosystem and with the game's touch-based controls. On top of that, it'll likely consider the most popular of these classes over others. Controller support. Diablo Immortal does have controller support, and it was added to the game as part of the closed beta. That being said, controller support only worked for controlling your character, executing abilities, and interacting with NPCs. There was no controller support in the beta for UI elements like opening and closing menus, equipping gear, and the like. That will be added to the game later on though with future updates, with the possibility of it being ready for players by the time the game launches later this year. As of the closed beta, supported controllers included the Sony DualShock 4, Xbox Wireless Bluetooth controller, Xbox Series XS Wireless controller, Xbox Elite Series 2 controller, Xbox Adaptive controller, and the Razer Kishi. Other controller support may be added over time, and it's also possible that additional controllers will already work, but the ones listed here are the ones which are officially supported and have been tested by Blizzard. Additionally, during the PC reveal, Blizzard says controller support will be available for PC players. Additionally, PC players will also be able to play with mouse and keyboard. Character customization. Does Diablo Immortal allow character customization? Well, yes, to an extent. Ever since the first Q&A about the game prior to the technical alpha back in 2020, Blizzard had stated that features such as applying dyes to your gear and transmogrification would not be available in the game. It has continued to echo that answer with each subsequent Q&A. So unless Blizzard changes its mind, these customization features will not be a part of Diablo Immortal. However, there will be customization. Players will have the chance to upgrade their gear to take on new looks, although it's not entirely clear on how that will work as it wasn't available in the beta. Blizzard will also be adding character skins to the game. These will probably have to be purchased from the shop, but since it's completely aesthetic and in no way impacts gameplay, players won't need to buy them. Leveling and gear system. The gear system can feel like a complex beast at first, but once you play more of the game, you get used to it. Just like in other Diablo games, you can acquire higher level gear as you level up your character. Gear will also have higher quality tiers, including those shiny orange legendary items, and you can upgrade your pieces to apply improved stats and more. You can also affix gems to your gear, and you can upgrade those as well. Set pieces have also been added to the game as of the closed beta, allowing for huge bonuses to your stats and abilities the more of a set you have equipped. When it comes to leveling, the level cap for the game currently, as of the ending of the closed beta, is 60. You can then go beyond that by adding Paragon levels to your characters to allow for even stronger gear, stats, and abilities, which in turn will allow you to take on some of the harder content. Endgame content. Speaking of endgame content in Diablo Immortal, there is a lot to expect. This includes, but isn't limited to, the Cycle of Strife, which is basically an in-game war of sorts where players have to face off against each other as part of two separate in-game factions, the Shadows and the Immortals. At the end of the Cycle of Strife, the top Shadows players must take on a single Immortal player who is buffed in size, appearing as a giant raid boss with stronger abilities and more health. If the Shadows win, then they must face each other and the last Shadow standing ends up being the new Immortal. There are also raids, harder difficulty dungeons, Elder Rifts, and Challenge Rifts with multiple tiers, and the Heliquary, which includes an 8-player raid. The game has a lot to offer. Trust us when we say there will be no shortage of things for you to do. Both PvE and PvP content will be available across some of the things we mentioned before. There's also bounties players can pick up and complete each day to gain XP and potentially stronger items as well as gold. There are 8 bounties you can do each day in sets of 4, but it's also now possible to stack these bounties over a period of days just in case you miss a day. That way you do not miss out on the bounties that you weren't able to pick up. So as an example, let's say you don't play for a day and you miss those 8 bounties. The following day you'll be able to pick up a total of 16 bounties to complete. And if you miss 2 days in a row, you'll be able to pick up a total of 24 bounties on the 3rd day. Blizzard says this was sort of catch-up mechanic that it added so players who can't go hardcore on gameplay will have an additional way to level up fast when they do have time to dive in. The game will also include in-game elements such as chat support, as well as voice chat for groups. Blizzard also plans to add guilds to the game, along with a voice chat option for guild members. That way you can talk amongst other guild members even if they're not in your party at the time. That's all for today's video. Hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching.